Today we're going to be talking about habits. So this is majorly based on the book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and also based on my own experiences. Just a quick note, I'm not an expert in this topic. I practice some of these things, but I'm still learning. So all I'm doing today is sharing what I have read and researched about. I have put around 4 hours into making this presentation, so hopefully you guys can learn something out of this. Okay, so these are the 4 laws that I'd like to talk about today. We'll be going into each of these in more detail. So to form good habits, the idea is to make it obvious, make it attractive, easy, and satisfying. And the idea about breaking bad habits is to make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, or unsatisfying. So the first law is make it obvious. So here the different ideas that we have are write down the habits. We'll talk a bit about implementation, intention, habit stacking, redesigning your environment and context, and making it invisible. Write down habits. So this is just something from my own experience. I have this card where I write down or paste stickers of these tiny habits that I want to achieve, and that's right on my desk where I work every day, and I see it every day. And I feel that looking at your goals or your habits that you want to develop every day can have a good impact on you actually doing them. So for example, here I categorize my habits into different sections, like ones that are for the development of my mind, for my mood, and then for my body, like taking a walk or take a reminder to take vitamins and getting enough water and so on. And this does help a lot, like just in terms of goal setting. Like I've done this exercise where I wrote down my goals in a huge paper and I put it up on the wall and looked at it every single day for a year to get the highest marks in my 12th grade across 700,000 people. And I was able to do that just because I was, reiterating my goal to myself day after day. The second idea is implementation intention. So the author talks about having planned your habit at a certain time in a certain location. So people who make specific plans for when and where they will perform a new habit are more likely to follow through, right? So I went one step ahead and put those on my calendar too, like saying, okay, at 2 p.m. on this Saturday, I'm going to practice for my salsa dancing, right? I feel too many of us try to change habits without having most of these basic details figured out, right? So we tell ourselves, I'm going to eat healthier or I'm going to write more, but we never say when and where these habits are going to happen. We just leave it up to chance and hope that we will just remember to do it or feel motivated at the right time. So an implementation intention basically sweeps away that foggy notion, like I want to work more, I want to be more productive, and transforms them into concrete plan of action. So basically, many people think that they lack motivation when what is really happening is that they lack clarity, right? The next idea is habit stacking, which so this is one of the best ways to build a new habit by identifying a current habit you already do each day and then stacking your new habit on top of this. So for example, if you want to exercise, you could be like, after I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes. Well, this isn't relevant anymore because of COVID. But if you look at the examples of finances, like when I want to buy something over $100, I will wait 24 hours before purchasing. Or if I want to meditate more, after I pour my cup of coffee each morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. Or talking about healthy eating, when I serve myself a meal, I will always put veggies first on my plate. Or for minimalism, when I buy a new item, I will give something away. So unlike an implementation intention, which specifically states the time and location for the given behavior, habit stacking implicitly has the time and location built into it. Next one is redesigning your environment and context. So the idea here is that you need to make the cues of good habits obvious and visible, right? The environment where we live and work often makes it so easy not to do certain actions because there's no obvious cue to trigger the behavior. It's easy not to practice guitar when it's like tucked away in the closet. So you got to place it in the middle of your living room. And it's not easy to read a book when the bookshelf is in the corner of the guest room. For example, I put my books on the sofa or on next to my bed. And it's easy to take your vitamins when they're out of sight in the pantry. I put them right next to my desk, my workstation. So that has done wonders. Like I have not gone a day without taking vitamins. So it's easier to associate a new habit with a new context as well than to build a new habit in face of competing cues. What I mean by that is, look at the last example there, eating healthy. You could try a new grocery store because it's likely that you shop on autopilot at your own supermarket. So if you're going to a new store, you don't know where the unhealthy food is, so you're likely to avoid that. The next idea here is making it invisible. So just as we talked about in the previous slide where you can make your habits more visible here, it's the reverse idea of reducing exposure by removing cues of your bad habits from your environment. So disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that does not require heroic willpower and self-control, right? In other words, these kind of people spend less time in tempting situations. And people with the best self-control are typically the ones who need to use it the least. I can so relate to this because when I was back in my school, I went 6 years without watching TV. And I did a lot. I mean, I was able to study every day. I got the top rank in my college. I was able to get into a master's degree without any loans, just on pure scholarship. I got the top rank in my high school. Like, I don't think if I had my TV there, I would have been, be able to focus on things. So if you're wasting too much time on TV, just move the TV out of the bedroom, or just, cancel your subscription or cancel the connection. Or if you're not getting enough work done, leave your phone in another room for a few hours. Or you're not feeling good enough, stop following social media accounts that trigger jealousy and envy. So bad habits are autocatalytic. That is like the process just feeds itself, right? So you feel so bad, so you eat junk food. And because you eat junk food, you feel bad. Or watching television makes you feel sluggish, so you watch more television because you don't have the energy to do anything else. So try to reduce the exposure to these bad habits by making it invisible. Okay, so that concludes our first law. Before I move on to the second law, I just wanted to do a quick check on how everyone is doing. Like, are you guys able to follow? Should I go slower, faster? I have a lot of content to cover, so I might be talking faster, but if it's not making sense, just ask a question in the chat and I'll try to get to it. Okay? And if this is something that is interesting to you, do let me know as well, so I know which ones to pause more on and which ones to just go over quickly. Okay, so the second law is make it attractive. So here we have 4 different ideas. The first one is temptation building. So this is one way to make your habits more attractive. The strategy here is to pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do, right? So after current habit, I will do the habit I need. And an example for that is, let's say you want to watch sports, but you need to submit a code review. So what you could say is, after I get back from my lunch break, I will submit the PR. That's your need. And after submitting the PR, I'll check ESPN, which is your want. So the more attractive an opportunity is, the more likely it is to become habit forming, because habits are a dopamine-driven feedback loop. And when the dopamine rises, so does our motivation to act. So that's the idea behind temptation building. The next one is the role of family and friends. So we tend to imitate the habits of 3 social groups: the close family, the friends, close family and friends. The next one is the many, which is the tribe. And the last one is the powerful, which is those people with status and prestige. So our friends and family provide a sort of invisible peer pressure that pulls us in their direction. There was a study which was done that found that people's chances of becoming obese increased by 57% if he or she had a friend who became obese. And it works the other way too. So another study found that if one person in the relationship lost weight, the other partner would also slim down about 1/3 of the time. So one of the most effective things you can do to build better habits is to join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. So new habits would seem more achievable when you see others doing the same thing every day. If you're surrounded by fit people, you're more likely to consider working out to be a common habit. All right, the next idea is motivational ritual. So the suggestion here is to create a motivational ritual, do something you enjoy immediately before a difficult habit. So habits are attractive when we associate them with positive feelings and unattractive when we associate them with negative feelings. Pretty straightforward, right? So say you want to feel happy in general, find something that makes you truly happy, like petting your dog, taking a bubble bath, playing music, and then create a short routine that you perform every time before you do the thing you love. So eventually you'll begin to associate this routine with being in a good mode. So it becomes a cue that means feeling happy. Okay, the next one is reframing your mindset. So reframing your habits to highlight their benefits rather than their drawbacks is the fastest way to make a habit seem more attractive. So for example, when you exercise, many people associate exercise, including myself, with being a challenging task that drains energy and wears you down. So instead, you can just as easily view it as a way to develop skills and build you up. So instead of telling yourself, I need to go down in the morning, say it's time to build endurance and get fast. All right. So similarly, we could also talk about examples of saving money and also about meditation. And that concludes the second law. So we are on right on time. We have just 15 minutes left for the next two laws. I'm just checking the chat to see if we have anything going on there. No. Okay. So the idea here is to make your habits easy. So you need very less effort to do it. Or you could also use something called a 2-minute rule, or even automate your habit, right? What are some examples of that? So human behavior basically follows the law of least effort. So we will naturally gravitate to the option that requires the least amount of work. So if you create an environment where doing the right thing is as easy as possible, then that's going to reduce the friction associated with good behaviors. For example, if you want to draw more, you put your pencils, pens, notebooks, whatever it is on top of your desk within easy reach. And if you want to exercise, you set your workout clothes, gym shoes, gym bag, etc. ahead of time. And if you want to improve your diet, you chop a ton of fruits and vegetables on the weekends and pack them in containers. And the reverse of this, which is the inverse of the law of least effort, is also good when you want to avoid bad habits. So when the friction is low, habits are easy. And when you increase the friction associated with bad behaviors, the habits become difficult, right? So if you're watching too much TV, just unplug it after each use, or remove the batteries out of your remote after each use. Or if you're drinking much, hide the beer in the back of your fridge. Or if you're using social media much, delete those apps from your phone. Or if you're using your phone much, keep it in another room, or tell a friend or family member to hide it from you for a few hours. So that's the idea behind the inverse of the law of least effort. Then we have the 2-minute rule. So here you'll find that nearly any habits can be scaled down into a 2-minute version. The author says that 2-minute rule is when you start a new habit taking less than 2 minutes to do it. So for example, if you want to read before bed each night, you just read one page. If you want to do 30 minutes of yoga, you just start out taking out your yoga mat. And if you want to study for class, just open your notes, right? You get the idea. So the more you rationalize the beginning of a process, the more likely it becomes that you can slip into the state of deep focus that is required to do great things. Now, there are two more examples that are interesting. For example, to become an early riser, you have to achieve that through various phases. Like you can be like, hey, from tomorrow onwards, I'm just going to wake up at 6 a.m. every day, right? Like you need to break that down into small chunks of goals. Like first, I will be home by 10 p.m. every night. Well, it's not relevant right now. Maybe we should be in our bed by 10 p.m. every night. Start off with that. Have all devices turned off by 10 p.m. every night. And once you achieve those, move on to the next phase, which is lights off by 10 p.m. every night. And finally, you can wake up by 6 a.m. every day. Or another example is, let's say you want to start to exercise. You don't have to feel bad if you don't exercise 3 times a week right away. So when you start out, you just follow the 2 principle rule. Well, don't take that literally. It means that you have to size it down to maybe 5 or 15 minutes. So phase 1 is you changing into your workout clothes. And phase 2 is you just trying and taking a walk, maybe for 5 minutes. And the next phase is you can slowly expand that for 15 minutes a week and finally expand that to 3 times per week. So basically, you got to standardize before you optimize. So you can't improve a habit that doesn't exist. So that's the idea behind the 2-minute rule. Okay, then we have automating habits. So the ultimate way to lock in your future behavior, and the easiest way, is to automate your habit. For example, if you want to cook, you can have a meal delivery service do grocery shopping for you if you're having difficulty cooking. Or if you want to work on your nutrition, you can use smaller plates to reduce caloric intake. So these are like one-time choices that are single actions that automate your future habits and deliver increasing returns over time. And for these, you can use technology to automate habits. That's the most reliable and effective way to guarantee the right behavior. There's also something else that you can do, for example, call as a commitment device, as mentioned in the book, which is basically having a choice you make in the present that locks in better behavior in the future. So to give you an example, if you're feeling motivated to get in shape, schedule a yoga session and pay ahead of time. So when the time comes to act, the only way to bail is to cancel the meeting, which requires effort and may even cost money, right? So that's the idea behind having a commitment device. All right, so we just have the last law to get through, which is making it satisfying. The 3 ideas here is 1, rewarding yourself after a habit. The second one is having an accountability partner. And the last one is tracking your habits. So the idea here is that we are more likely to repeat a behavior of an experience that's satisfying. So the first 3 laws that we saw, that is make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, all these increase the odds that a behavior will be performed this time. So the 4th law of behavior change, make it satisfying, is going to increase the odds that the behavior will be repeated the next time. But here's the trick. We are not looking for just any type of satisfaction, right? We are looking for immediate satisfaction. What I mean by that is, if you exercise today, perhaps you won't be overweight next year. And if you save money now, you'll have enough for retirement decades from now. So we live in what scientists call a delayed return environment, because you can work for years before your actions deliver the intended results. So the human brain basically evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over delayed rewards. So the cardinal rule of behavior change is that what is immediately rewarded is repeated, right? So what is immediately punished is avoided. So to get a habit to stick, you need to feel immediately successful. So even if it's in a small way, for example, if you want to like stop eating out so much and start cooking more, what you could do is label a savings account as a trip to Europe, and whenever you skip going out to eat, transfer $50 into that account. So at the end of the year, you would have put the money toward the vacation. The other idea is accountability partner. So I don't know if you had noticed this when I shared my calendar in the first slide. You would have seen that I set up all these appointments with various people, right? Like I do my dance with a dance partner. I do my reading with a book club that I host, and I have a group of friends who follow me on Instagram where we get together and talk about our weekly goals and find accountability partners within that group to keep us accountable. So accountability partners can create an immediate cost to inaction. So we care deeply about what others think of us, and we do not want others to have a lesser opinion of us, right? If you don't follow through, perhaps they'll see me as untrustworthy or lazy. So suddenly we are not only failing to uphold our promises to ourselves, but also failing to uphold our promises to others. So this is something that has really worked out for me. And if shameless plug, if you guys are interested in joining that book club or that club, Failure Friday club that I talked about to find accountability partners on your habits and goals, reach out to me and I can add you to that. We meet every weekend. Okay, the last one is Habit Tracker. Okay, I think I just got a message from Srujan saying, I remember you shared a progress board on habits tracking back when Patrick was teaching a session. Would you mind highlighting that real quick? Yes, I saved the best for the last. I was just going to get into it. So the last one is Habit Tracker. And here I'm talking about using different habit trackers like food journals if you want to eat healthy, or fitness trackers, or sleep or water trackers. So the idea is that the most satisfying feeling is the feeling of making progress, right? And habit tracker is a simple way to measure whether you did a habit, like as simple as marking an X on the calendar. I'm just going to show you a screenshot of my calendar here. The card that I showed you before, I have different stickers for different habits, and I stick them on the calendar whenever I finish that habit. So habit trackers and other visual forms of measurement can make your habits satisfying by providing evidence of your progress, right? So you will get motivated to not break the chain or try to keep your habit streak alive. And this is just in like front of my laptop here. So I actually see it every day throughout the day. And if you, so the author says, never miss something twice. Like if you miss one day, try to get back on track as quickly as possible. So that's the end of my presentation. I know I just threw a lot of information at you guys. Let me know if any of that resonated with you, if that was helpful at all. If you want to learn more about this, go check out the book Atomic Habits. That's really awesome, and we're actually discussing that book in our book club in the next 2 weeks. So if you want to join, let me know, and you can contact me on any of these platforms if you want to chat more.